ओम शांति। आप सभी मधुबन बाबा के घर व अपने घर में बड़े खुशी खुशी से आते हैं।
All of you come to Baba's home, that is to your home, Madhuban, with a great deal of happiness.
बच्चों को भिन्न भिन्न स्थान से आए, लेकिन बाबा कहते हैं,
And even though we may be from so many different places, Baba says to us, in which aeroplane
कैसा विमान है
an aeroplane is it? It's an aeroplane that doesn't cost anything,
जिसमें बहुत जल्दी हम पहुंच जाते।
and an aeroplane that doesn't take very much time.
तो बाबा ने लास्ट में बोला था, तो आप सभी सने के विमान में आए।
Baba had said recently that all of you come
सने के विमान में आए
on the plane of love. That's true, isn't it? Have all of you arrived here using the aeroplane of love?
खर्चा नहीं लगता, स्थूल ये डॉलर वगैरह नहीं लगता।
It doesn't cost anything, no dollars, nothing. All it costs is love of the heart.
सभी बाप दादा के सन्हे में
And so
यहाँ पहुँच गए हैं।
you've all arrived here on the basis of your love for Baba.
हम हर एक बच्चे के प्रति
And the love that Baba has for each one of us, his children,
जानते हैं,
each one of us knows that.
लेकिन उसकी निशानी ये है,
But the sign of that is
बाप दादा यही चाहते हैं कि मेरा एक एक बच्चा
Baba Dada wishes that each and every child,
पुरुषार्थी भी है,
even if it's a child who doesn't make that much effort,
चाहे बहुत अच्छे तीव्र पुरुषार्थी,
even if it's a child who makes
है ना,
intense, advanced effort,
मेरे
but
बच्चे हैं,
Baba's vision is that this is my child.
बच्चे के प्रति
And when Baba says these are my children,
आशा रखते
he has this pure wish in his heart
कि एक भी मेरा बच्चा
that not even one of my children
ऐसा न हो
shouldn't be such that
कि कम पुरुषार्थ करते
whilst doing less effort,
कम पद को प्राप्त कर।
he should end up with a lesser status.
इसीलिए बाबा कहता है,
This is why Baba says,
इस समय
at this time,
बात छोड़ो,
forget the future, that's something else, but at this time,
चाहे लास्ट बच्चा है,
even if it's the last number child,
मेरा है,
I have the feeling it's my child.
हर बच्चे को
This is why
राजा बच्चा बनाने चाहिए।
Baba says, I wish to make every one of my children into a
और
king.
है भी हम सब जो भी शिक्षा लेते हैं उसको क्या कहते हैं, राजयोग।
And whoever comes to learn these teachings,
योग सीखने तो
we say to them, we're teaching you Raj Yoga. Raja means king, not Praja Yoga. Praja means subject.
वाला ही नहीं,
There's nobody here who teaches subject yoga.
सब राजयोगी।
We are all Raj Yogis.
राजयोगी का अर्थ ही है
And the very meaning of Raj Yoga means
राजा बनाने चाहिए।
that at this period of time, Baba wishes to make us into kings.
तो मिलेगा नहीं वो,
But a king of what? You're not going to get the thrones that are available these days. And the thrones that are available these days, they're so insignificant compared to the throne that Baba is going to give us. So what is it that Baba wants to make us a king of, a sovereign of? He wants us to become kings, sovereigns of the self.
स्वराज अधिकारी बनते हैं,
When those who become the ones who have this sovereignty, this kingship over themselves, they are the ones who in the future become kings.
महत्व
Baba really values this period of time immensely.
समय का महत्व रोज बाबा भिन्न भिन्न रूप
And in many different shapes and forms, Baba reminds all of us each day of this important time.
स्वराज अधिकारी नहीं बनेगा,
Baba says if you don't become
कोशिश करे
a sovereign of the self at this time, now,
कि अधिकारी बन ही नहीं सकता।
then there is absolutely no way you will
बाबा
become
से कोई
a king in the future.
पर्सन
Somebody had once asked Baba, Baba,
तो पढ़ रहे हैं,
we're studying,
लेकिन आप तो जानते हो
but you know everything, don't you,
बाबा
Baba?
से पूछा बाबा
And so, Baba,
जो पुरुषार्थ
the effort that I'm making at the moment,
इस अनुसार
according to this effort, what do you think? What's your estimation? What will I become in the future? Will I be a king?
रॉयल फैमिली
Will I be a member of the royal family?
रॉयल प्रजा बनूंगी,
Will I be a member of the subjects who interact with the royal family? What do you think I'm going to become on the basis of my effort?
जवाब दिया
And Baba answered that child, and Baba said, Baba does know
क्या बनेंगे।
that what you're going to become in the future, according to your present effort. However,
मैंने ये प्रश्न का उत्तर देने के लिए मैंने सभी को एक आईना दे दिया है।
however, in fact, I have given all the children a mirror in which they can get the answer for themselves.
रीति से देख सकती हो
You can see very clearly with that mirror and know very well what you're going to become in the future.
अपना चेहरा देख सकती
You can see your own face.
हो। तो वो आईना बाबा ने कहा कौन सा है?
And what mirror is that?
दर्पण।
The mirror of your heart.
दिल दर्पण से आप अपना चेहरा देख सकते
You can see your own face
हो। क्या चेहरा
in the mirror of your heart.
का देखो, किस आधार से देखो आप।
And then Baba explained how to look. On what basis?
पहले पूछो,
Ask yourself, first of all,
इस समय
at this time,
स्वराज अधिकारी हूँ,
am I a sovereign, a master of the self?
आत्मा मालिक बन के
And that means that I, the soul, become the master
कंट्रोल में
and
चलाती हूँ।
I'm able to control all these sense organs as the master. Everybody's organs work, however, sometimes our organs deceive us. Our
चलाना तो नहीं,
physical organs are sense organs.
कर्म इंद्रियों के वश चलना।
And that means that I, the soul, am not the master. It means my organs have more power. They have power over me.
अपने आप से पूछो,
And so ask yourself,
जो भी कर्म इंद्रियां हैं,
whatever organs I have,
सूक्ष्म हमारी तीन बातें चेक करने की है।
and I have to check three things within that.
मन,
The first thing I have to check is, then there's subtle things.
दूसरा बुद्धि,
The first thing is my mind,
और
the
तीसरा
second my intellect, and the third, check your sanskars,
है विशेष।
your habits or your...
तीन को नोट चेक किया।
These three things I need to check.
दूसरी जो कर्म इंद्रियां है ना, आंख है, नाक है,
If I check these, then the other sense organs, my eyes, my ears, my nose, my feet, my different sense organs,
तो बाबा ने कहा पहले
sometimes they deceive us. But Baba says, first check these subtle organs, these internal
जो मैं
functions.
संस्कार चाहती हूँ,
Ask yourself the sanskars, the habits that I wish to have.
संस्कार है,
And what is it that we want? We wish to have the sanskars, the characteristics of a Brahmin.
बाबा ने एक चेकिंग बताई थी सूक्ष्म।
And so Baba had given this subtle checking.
शरत हमारा थोड़ा कमजोर हो जाता है,
When our effort becomes a little bit weak or slack, what tends to happen is
संस्कार जो है ना,
that our old sanskars or old tendencies,
वो वार कर देते हैं।
they begin to attack us.
तो कभी कभी कोई बहनें कहती है,
And sometimes some sisters say to Baba, Baba,
मैं चाहती नहीं हूँ
I don't want it to happen.
कि मेरे पुराने संस्कार
I don't want my old sanskars
आवे,
to come.
लेकिन क्या करें,
But what can I do?
मेरे संस्कार ही ऐसे हैं,
My sanskars, they're just like that.
मेरे संस्कार हम कहते हैं उसको।
And we say, my sanskars. And so Baba had done this checking once.
संस्कार क्यों कहती हो?
And Baba said, why are you saying my sanskars? Who are you?
अपने से पूछो
Ask
कि मैं
yourself.
ब्राह्मण हूँ ना,
Ask yourself,
पक्का है
who
ना,
am
सभी
I?
ब्राह्मण बैठे
You're
हैं।
Brahmins, aren't
हाथ
you?
उठाओ,
So all of you are
सभी
Brahmins, aren't you?
ब्राह्मण
Put your
बैठे
hands up.
हैं
You're Brahmins
या
sitting here, aren't
दूसरे
you?
भी हैं, सभी
Everybody here is a Brahmin or Paka Brahmin or anybody else?
वाह, मुबारक हो,
Well,
पक्के
congratulations, you raised your hands for being
तो
Paka
बाबा ने
Brahmins.
कहा तुम ब्राह्मण हो,
And so Baba said, you're a
ब्राह्मण के
Brahmin,
संस्कार क्या
and the
होता है?
sanskars of a Brahmin, you know what
जो
they
बाबा
are?
की श्रीमत है,
That whatever is
उस पर
Baba's
मान
Srimad,
चलना,
to follow according to that, that is the main
और
sanskar
आप
of a
मर जीवा
Brahmin.
बन के ब्राह्मण बने हो,
And you have died a living death and become a
मर जीवा
Brahmin.
बने हैं ना,
You
जीते
have,
जी मर चुके ना,
and we have died, haven't we? We've died from our old birth, our old ways of being like a Shudra and become Brahmins. And so Baba had said, ask yourself the question, when you say my sanskars, and they're the old ones, old
जो
sanskars,
हमको अच्छे नहीं लगते,
the ones that we don't
संस्कार
really
जब हो
like,
जाते हैं,
when they emerge, then we say,
इतना नहीं है,
I didn't really want it to happen. It wasn't my
लेकिन मेरी
intention or my heart, but it's my nature, it's my sanskars, it just happens.
काम कर लेते हैं,
And they take over, they do their work. And so Baba corrected that. And Baba said, why are you saying my?
मन हो,
Now you've become a Brahmin.
आपके वो संस्कार
And
हैं
those
कमजोरी के,
sanskars of weakness, do they belong to you now?
मानो आपको थोड़ा रोब आ गया,
For instance, if you become a little bit bossy,
आपसे कोई ऐसी गलती हो गई,
or you make a mistake,
चाहिए वो बोल लिया,
you say something you shouldn't have said, you see something you shouldn't have seen,
करना नहीं चाहिए वो
something
कर लिया,
you do something that you really shouldn't have done.
क्या वो आप ब्राह्मण के संस्कार है?
Are those the sanskars of a Brahmin?
ये तो पास्ट के संस्कार है,
These are the past
संस्कार
sanskars.
आप मर जीवा बन गई,
You've died from that old birth.
तो आप याद करो आपका जो स्थूल में पहला जन्म था,
For instance,
तो दूसरा है,
can you remember your previous birth?
आप
You-
मर के अभी
You died, you've come into this body, you're present here right now. Okay, but can you remember your past birth?
संस्कार
You don't say my sanskars for your previous birth. And so in the same way, if I've died a living death, the same principle applies.
संस्कार कैसे कहते?
So then how on earth can we say my sanskars?
रावण के संस्कार,
These are Ravan
बाबा ने
sanskars.
बहुत अच्छी बात सुनाई,
And Baba had
बाबा ने कहा रावण
related
के
something
संस्कार,
very good. He said, Ravan sanskars, and you say that they're yours?
सोचो तो सही,
Think about it.
क्या हो,
What are you saying?
क्या हो, दूसरे की चीज को
So, property that belongs to somebody else, and you're hanging on to it and saying that it's yours, what would you call that?
है,
That's not very royal.
आपके संस्कार नहीं है, क्योंकि आप ब्राह्मण मर
They're not your sanskars because you're a Brahmin now, you've died.
रावण
These are the Brahmins, these are the sanskars of Ravan, of a Shudra life,
यो मेरे संस्कार,
and you're saying that they're yours, that they belong to you.
दूसरे की चीज
And so, something that belongs to somebody else, if someone
को क्या कहा जाता है?
covets it for themselves, keeps it for themselves,
दूसरे की चीज अपने पास रखी
what would you
जाती
say
है,
about that?
ये रॉयल्टी है
In
क्या?
fact, is that royal? Is it royalty to keep something that belongs to somebody else with yourself and possess it?
पास्ट लाइफ की चीज संस्कार,
And so these sanskars of a past birth of Ravans, we can't say my
मेरा
sanskars.
शब्द कहना ही रॉन्ग है,
To say this very word, my, is wrong. Baba had given this correction.
संस्कार क्या है, उसके लिए बाबा ने बहुत अच्छी बात की,
And so, what are my sanskars? Then Baba taught a drill to make us understand. Just remember,
पहले पहले तुम अनादि स्वरूप में थी,
in your original form,
धाम में
the soul in the supreme world, in its very original form. And what was your original, very original form?
में विकार थे,
Were there vices in that?
उसमें कमजोरी थी।
Were there weaknesses in that?
अनादि संस्कार आपके
Those
बहुत बढ़िया।
original
बाबा के
sanskars
घर में रहते थे,
were
बाबा
very
के साथ
beautiful, very
रहते थे,
great. You
आत्मा
lived with Baba, the
शरीर का
soul, you
नहीं
the
था।
soul lived with Baba in the soul world.
आत्मा अनादि स्वरूप जो आपका है,
And so that
उसमें तो
original
आप
form of
उच्च
the
थे,
soul,
पवित्र
you were
थे
very pure, very,
और शक्तिशाली थे।
very
अच्छा,
powerful.
पहले अनादि स्वरूप को याद करो।
And so
किया?
remember that
सभी ने
original
अपने
form.
अनादि स्वरूप
Did
को
all of you
याद किया,
remember?
गए परमधाम में,
Did you go to
सेकंड
Paramdam?
में,
Did you travel there in a second?
एक सेकंड में पहुंच
Because a
सकते
mind
हैं
can
ना,
reach in
हमारा ही
somewhere in a
स्वरूप है
second.
ना।
Because
तो
actually that's
बाबा
our
का
form
अनादि
anyway.
स्वरूप आपका कौन सा था,
And so what was your
उसको याद
original,
करो।
your eternal form?
फिर आओ नीचे,
And then come
आदि
down.
स्वरूप में।
And your
तो
form of the
आदि
beginning
स्वरूप
time,
हमारा
what was
कौन
that
सा था
like?
देवता,
In the beginning, we were like
याद है ना?
deities.
याद करो,
Do you
अनादि
remember?
को भी याद करो,
Cast your
अनुभव
mind
करो,
back there.
ऐसे नहीं
Experience
सुनो।
it. Don't just listen to what I'm
अनादि
saying,
स्वरूप
but go
बाबा
through the
कहता है कि
experience.
अनादि में चले
When
जाना
Baba
चाहिए।
says that
अच्छा,
eternal
फिर नीचे आओ।
form, what was it like of the
तो
soul world?
नीचे आदि
And then you
स्वरूप
come down,
हमारा जो
and the
है
original, the
वो
very
देवता है।
first beginning time stage,
तो हमारे देवता जीवन में
we were the
भी
deities, and in our deity
ये
lives,
खराब संस्कार है ही नहीं।
we don't have these wrong sanskars.
जो आधा कल्प हमारे रहा,
That which belonged to me for
आधा
half a
कल्प
cycle,
कितना समय, 2500 वर्ष हमारे आदि संस्कार देवताई जो है उसमें भी ये कमजोरियां नहीं थी।
we didn't have for half a cycle all these, as when we were deities, we didn't have these weaknesses. So are you experiencing
आदि
that?
स्वरूप में स्थित हो जाओ।
Stabilize yourself in that. As a deity, were there any
बाबा ने कहा अच्छा
weaknesses?
फिर नीचे
Nothing.
और आओ।
And then Baba said, okay, continue your journey around the
नीचे
cycle.
द्वापर में
In the Copper Age,
आपका स्वरूप था पूज्य।
your form was the worship-worthy form.
चित्र बना के हमारे पूजते हैं द्वापर से।
They make pictures of us and worship us from the Copper Age onwards. And so Baba asks the double foreigners, do you feel that you were worshipped? Do you feel that you were worshipped?
मंदिर में चित्र है,
Do you feel that it's your pictures in the temples, brothers? Do you experience that? Those who think that their pictures their images are in the temples, in the Dilwala temple,
उसमें महारथ
do you feel that you were there? That they're your images?
तो जो समझते हैं हमारी पूजा होती है वो हाथ
And so raise your hands if you think that you are worshipped in the temples. That yes, we were definitely worshipped in the temples. We're double foreigners, but yes. Then what about these brothers over here? They don't have that experience? You have that experience?
जिसकी नहीं होती है समझते हैं
Those who feel that no, we're not worshipped, they can raise their hands. Those who feel that nobody's raising their hands, they're not raising it yes and they're not raising it no.
बीच का रह जाए।
So what's happening in the middle? Are you going to get lost somewhere left in the middle?
नहीं बनते हैं।
Aren't there temples built to you? You must have seen temples.
मंदिर की क्या होती
Maybe you haven't seen what the temples are like.
है? ड्रामा के हिसाब से
Ac-
हम ब्राह्मणों का सारा सुनाता है।
When
द्वापर में आप पूज्य बने।
Baba tells us that in the cycle, in the Copper Age, we were the worthy of worship ones. We were the ones who gave blessings to everyone.
आके ब्लेसिंग मांगते हैं,
People come in front of the idols and say, give us peace, give us happiness.
खुशी दे दो, आपसे आके मांगेंगे द्वापर से।
And they will come from the Copper Age onwards to ask you for these
तो बाबा
blessings.
कहते हैं द्वापर में भी आप पूज्य थे।
And so Baba says, even in the Copper Age, you are worthy of worship.
नहीं होते कमजोरी के।
And those who are worthy of worship don't have the sanskars of weakness.
ब्राह्मण बने,
And then at the end, you become
तो
Brahmins.
ब्राह्मण है ना सभी।
Now all of you are Brahmins, aren't you? You put your hands up earlier, didn't you, to say that you're Brahmins, Brahma Kumars and Kumaris.
सारे कल्प में आप
And so in the whole
ये
cycle,
संस्कार अच्छे थे, अच्छे रहे।
you've had good sanskars.
तो बाबा कहते हैं ये जो कमजोरी के
And so Baba says these sanskars of weakness that come,
गलती से कह देते हैं
through which we say, about which we say,
आपके है ही,
accidentally, these are my sanskars. We can't actually say mine. This is because it's not our property, it's somebody else's.
हम दिल में रख देते हैं।
But what we do is we possess those and keep them in our hearts. We merge those sanskars in our heart.
अलमारी में रखो संभाल के, उसको अच्छा मानेंगे आप?
If you take somebody else's thing and you hide it in your cupboard, would that be a good thing? So we take Ravan's sanskars, somebody else's property.
बाबा की प्रॉपर्टी,
It's not Baba's property,
रावण की
it's Ravan's property.
जिसको हम युद्ध करते हैं,
And we battle over that.
प्रॉपर्टी हम दिल में समा देते हैं कभी कभी।
We merge that into our hearts sometimes.
तो ये बाबा नहीं चाहता है।
And Baba doesn't want
प्यार
this.
इतना है, बाबा कोई भी बच्चे में अगर पुराने संस्कार इमर्ज होते हैं,
If the old sanskars emerge in any child and a child becomes subservient to those, then Baba says, no, become a king. Don't become the one who's dependent.
अधिकारी बनो, कर्म इंद्रिया कुछ
Become the master of your organs. Don't let your organs make you move in the way that they want you to move.
धोखा देती है।
Say, for instance, sometimes your eyes deceive you, and then what do you think? What should I do? I didn't want to, but I saw it, and then, I became body conscious.
तो हम चाहते नहीं है,
And so we don't want,
हो जाते हैं,
but it happens. We become helpless to those things. We become subservient to those vices and those defects within us.
बाबा हमारे को चाहता है
But Baba wants us to become masters of the self.
और स्वराज अधिकारी के आधार पर विश्व का राज तो मिलना ही है।
And on that basis,
बात नहीं है,
we're going
बड़ी
to
बात है अभी
become masters of the world. But that's not a big deal. The big thing is to become now a master of the self. That becoming a master of the world will come behind us automatically. It will be like a shadow. It will follow us automatically.
हमारे पीछे पीछे आती है। अगर हम चाहे नहीं आवे नहीं,
Even if we don't want it to happen, the shadow comes when you walk in the sun.
हमारे पीछे पीछे
We move forward and the shadow follows us behind.
इसी रीति से
And so in the same way,
भविष्य का स्वराज
this future
जन्म सिद्ध अधिकार है, बाबा के बने हैं ना।
this future throne is our birthright because we become Babas and that's the birthright that we get. But check
चेक करो,
check something.
लेकिन चेक के साथ चेंज की भी शक्ति रखो।
But Baba says don't just check. Along with checking, use the power to change. If you say just to check, if you just do checking, and say for instance you say, Baba said we should have 8 hours remembrance, but today I only managed to, I don't know what's going on. And then the next day you say, I managed to do 4 hours, but I couldn't do 8 hours.
तो दिल शिकस्त हो जाए,
Then gradually we'll become disheartened.
शायद भाग्य नहीं है,
Maybe it's not my fortune, what shall I do? Maybe it's just not in the drama. And all these things will start coming into your mind.
इसलिए बाबा कहता है चेक करो,
And this is why Baba says check,
करने के साथ चेंज करने की शक्ति भी अपने में जरूर रखो।
but definitely also adopt the power to change. Don't simply just check, also change.
हमारे पास चेक करने की, चेंज करने की दोनों शक्तियाँ हैं।
In fact, we possess both powers, the power to check and change. Because we say
बाबा सर्वशक्ति
Baba is the almighty, all-powerful one, and we also are the master, all-powerful ones.
बाबा ने शक्तियाँ दी,
And so Baba has given us all the powers.
तो हम भी मास्टर सर्वशक्तिवान है।
And so we are the master, all-powerful ones. And so if we check, we can change.
तो अटेंशन बाबा ने कहा था, इस समय के महत्व को जानो।
And so Baba had said, know the value of this time.
इतना स्पष्ट बोला,
In the last Muli, Baba had said very clearly,
अगर आपको प्रारब्ध जमा करनी,
if you wish to accumulate your
अनेक जन्मों
rewards for the future, many births to come,
बाबा ने कहा जमा करने की बैंक
then the bank of
सर्व संगम पर खुलती है।
that bank to accumulate only opens at the confluence stage. At no other time in the cycle can you accumulate powers, virtues, specialties, happiness. Whatever the different accounts are, that bank only opens now at the confluence age.
सारे कल्प में हमारी जमा की बैंक ही नहीं होंगी. जब बैंक ही नहीं होंगी तो जमा क्या करेंगे?
The bank won't be open, so how will we be able to accumulate? But at this confluence age,
जमा की बैंक खुलती.
the bank of accumulating opens. And if we don't accumulate now, then in the whole cycle, because the bank's not going to be open, there's no opportunity, there's going to be no chance to accumulate. And so how much attention
हमको समय इस समय पर देना.
should we give to this valuable time?
बाबा ने इतने तक भी कहा.
Baba even went as far as to say that some children, because they're careless, they say, Baba, I didn't think waste thoughts for too long. Well, it's only 5 minutes I had waste thoughts for. But it's not 5 minutes.
समय के 5 मिनट 5 वर्ष.
5 minutes of the confluence age is like 5 years. 1 minute, it's not 1 minute, it's 1 year. We say, oh, it's just 5 minutes.
आपस में बात करते हैं.
Two people speaking amongst with each other, and they're talking about maybe things of the world or what's current. Not bad things necessarily, but they're not things that bring benefit. They speak for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and someone comments and says to them, you did this, and they'll say, oh, it's only 5-10 minutes. But actually, when you're talking for a long time, if someone says to them, it was only you were talking nonsense, it was unnecessary. For half an hour, that person will say, no, it was just 5 minutes. But actually, it feels like 5 minutes, but it's always more than that. All that time is wasted. And it is really wasted because the time to accumulate is only now. And at any other time of the cycle, no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to accumulate. We're going to experience the fruit for the rest of the cycle. That's why Baba has individual attention on each and every child, that not even one of my children should be part of the subjects. Because we challenge people and say that we are teaching and learning Raj Yoga, not Praja Yoga, subject yoga. When we go to learn Raj Yoga, it means we're going to become kings surely, and now, forget the future. If we don't do it, there's a saying, if you don't do it now, you'll never do it. And that slogan applies to the confluence age. No matter how hard you try at the end, you won't be able to do anything. That's why Baba said in the last Murli, whatever action you perform, before performing it, then think about it, consider it. Because at this time, you have the opportunity to consider and then perform. So first think about it, consider it, and then do it. Say for instance, if you don't do that, you do the action and you just do whatever in any old way, however, and then when time goes by, then instead of thinking, you actually begin to repent. For example, if in a state of carelessness I say something or do something that wasn't right, at that time I was just a bit careless. But afterwards, because of this being a Brahmin life, I say, well, I shouldn't have done this and I did it. If I didn't do this, this would have happened. For instance, anger. I get angry and then And then we think to ourselves, if I had said this instead, there wouldn't have been an argument that broke out.
मुझे नहीं कहना
I
चाहिए
should not have said this.
हुआ या सोचना हुआ
And so this is what? It's repentance instead of just
समय पर
thinking.
अगर हम सोचते हैं
And so
सोच से हमारा चेंज हो जाता है
if we consider and think carefully about what we need to do at the time of doing it, then that's good. Otherwise, later on, it turns into repentance.
है उसके लिए खत्म करने के लिए
And then to finish
बहुत
repentance,
powerful योग
you need very powerful yoga
कर चुके हैं
so that whatever you've done in the past, can finish it. For that, you need a lot of yoga to finish that which has become past.
इसीलिए बाबा
This is why Baba always used to say to us,
warning देते रहते हैं
Baba is always giving us some or another warning.
हमको तो पहचानो
Recognize time. Recognize yourself anyway, but recognize the time.
पहचानो समय को पहचानो
Recognize yourself, the time, and recognize what you need to do and do it now.
सिर्फ अभी
Don't say you'll do it later because actually the time to do is now.
ये ना अच्छा अभी नहीं कम कर ले
We have this habit, don't we? Oh, I'll do it in a bit. I'll do it in a bit. And this comes because of laziness.
बाबा ने कह दिया
But Baba has said, Baba's given us a warning. If you don't do it now, it's never going to happen.
इस संगम पर अगर आप
If you don't do it, if you haven't created your fortune at this confluence age and you remain careless, then the whole cycle, nothing will be able to happen.
ये बाबा शिक्षा बार बार देते
Baba gives this teaching again and again.
इसीलिए हम सब बाबा के कौन से बच्चे हैं आज्ञाकारी ना
This is why all of us are Baba's obedient children, aren't we?
बाबा की आज्ञा है
And so it's Baba's order that we have to become a king.
राजा बनना तो अच्छी बात
And it's a good thing to become a king, isn't it?
राजा बनो स्वराज की जो हिम्मत है वो रखो हम जब कहते ही है किसी भी कर्म इंद्री के लिए चलो मन है
We say for any action, for example, it could be the mind.
आज बहुत परेशान
We never say, I, the mind, am very distressed today.
कहते हैं मेरा मन
We always say, my mind is distressed.
जब मेरा है
And when I say it's mine,
मेरा बड़ा या मैं बड़ा
and so who's greater? Am I greater or what I possess greater?
मेरा उसको ही हम कहते हैं जो
We say that something is
मेरे
mine
अंदर होता है
when it's under us.
मेरा होता है अधिकार होता है तब मेरा
We say mine when there's a feeling of having a right over something.
मैं कहूँगी ये मेरा है
This flower, for instance,
अधिकार है कहाँ
I'll say it's my flower. I have the right to give it to whoever I wish. So as soon as I say the word my, then that means I have a right.
कोई भी कर्म इंद्री के लिए हम नहीं कहते हैं
And for-
मैं आँख आज ठीक नहीं हूँ।
We don't use this expression for any of our action organs.
मेरा ही कहते हैं
We don't say, I, the eyes, am hurting today. I, the mouth, am hurting today. We say, my eyes are hurting. My mouth is hurting.
बाबा कहते हैं मैं ही
Because I, the soul, am the master.
है बाबा को मैं ही एक ऐसा बाप हूँ
I am the one father,
राजा बना
the only father who can make every child into a king.
देते हैं ये मेरे राजा बच्चे लेकिन राजा बनता नहीं है अब बाबा तो बनाता है
Baba makes us into kings, practically.
तो सचमुच अपनी चेकिंग करो
And so we should check ourselves.
कि मैं राजा बच्चा हूँ बाबा का
Am I Baba's royal child, a Raj Yogi,
या योगी हूँ
or am I part of the
अगर
subjects?
कोई भी कर्म इंद्री वश नहीं है
If no action organ, I'm subservient to it.
प्रजा का
If I am subservient, then I become
चलता है क्या
like I become like a subject. It's like the rule of the subjects over the subject. There's no ruler, in fact.
आए हैं यहाँ
And so why is it that we've come here?
मधुबन में
We've come to Madhuban,
मंडल की
where the atmosphere is so great.
चाहे कोई भी ढीला पुरुषार्थी है
Even if someone's a slack effort maker,
में लगा हुआ है
they're still engaged in effort.
और साथ साथ इस समय कोई भी बुद्धि में बोझ नहीं है.
And at this time also we don't have any, in Madhuban that is, any burden of responsibility or work.
और यहाँ तो कोई जिम्मेवारी.
But here we're free, there's nothing that we have to do. We just have to study, make effort.
और कोई जिम्मेवारी नहीं.
No other responsibilities here.
और वायुमंडल
And the atmosphere,
का प्रभाव भगवान की घर है.
this is the land where God comes. This is God's home.
किसका नाम है?
You will have noticed that in any room in this place, you will not see that it's the room of so and so.
अलग-अलग होंगे ज्ञान के योग के. दादियों का कमरा है, कहेंगे दादी का कमरा है.
Even
लेकिन कभी नाम नहीं होगा जानकी दादी का कमरा.
sometimes we say we know that a particular room belong to someone. For example, the Dadi Janki's room, Dadi Gulzar's room, but we don't write it. You don't see it written anywhere. Baba, in fact, has given us beautiful names for the Bhavans: Mahadani Bhavan, Vardhani Bhavan.
क्योंकि बाबा का घर है.
Because it's Baba's home, everything belongs to Baba.
कोई कमरा नहीं.
No room here under anyone's name.
तो बाबा का घर देखो कितना बढ़िया मिला है.
And so, see Baba's house, so beautiful, where we are living.
कहाँ रहते हैं? फलाने स्थान पे.
Where do we live? We say, oh, I'm staying here in such and such a building.
तो इसीलिए यहाँ वायुमंडल का भी है.
And so here we have the support of the atmosphere,
स्थान का भी.
and we have the support of this place.
बहुत प्रभाव पड़ता है ना.
And a place has a big impact on us, actually.
जाएगा.
Even
समय वायुमंडल.
if you go
स्थान पर जाएगा उस समय का वायुमंडल.
in a club, for instance, or you go to a study place, difference in atmosphere according to the place.
तो यहाँ स्थान भी देखो कैसे.
And so here, look at the place.
बाबा के घर में आए.
In Baba's home, what is the place like?
लेते हैं.
This is Baba's home. We don't say that it's so-and-so's home.
स्थान भी तो स्थिति को बनाता है.
And so place can also become instrumental in creating your stage.
हमारा स्थान देखो कैसा बढ़िया है.
And so see how wonderful our place is. We have come to God's home. We have such intoxication.
तो यहाँ हम जितना आप पुरुषार्थ करें.
And whatever effort you make here,
पुरुषार्थ क्या है?
and what is effort?
देना अपने.
Actually, effort just means to pay attention on the self.
क्या करना है?
It's nothing else.
बाबा ने लास्ट में साइलेंस पावर के लिए बहुत जोर दिया.
Baba in the last morning really emphasized silence power because at the end,
पर साइलेंस की शक्ति की विजय होगी जो.
it's the power of silence that will gain victory over science at the end, and that will enable the flag, Baba's flag, to be hoisted high for all to see. But for the power of silence,
जब मैं अपने को आत्मा राजा नहीं समझूं.
if I don't consider I the soul to be the master, then there's no way this power of silence can come.
साइलेंस का स्वरूप कौन सा है?
Because what is the form of silence?
आत्मा.
It's the soul, isn't it?
शरीर को तो हलचल में आना ही.
The body is going to come into upheaval and fluctuation anyway, it's inevitable.
का अनादि आदि स्वरूप हमारा जो है.
But the original eternal form that we have of silence, it's the soul that experiences that.
बाबा ने कहा भी.
And Baba had also said,
फिरते भी
whilst walking, moving along,
की शक्ति अगर बढ़ानी
if I want to increase the power of silence,
आत्मा को देख.
then have the practice that I, the soul, am seeing the soul. I, the soul, am speaking to the soul.
में बहुत मजा है.
There's a great deal of there's a great pleasure in this experience. If I can share my experience of it, the 14 years that we were with Baba in Pakistan, there wasn't any service at that time.
परमात्मा की डिटेल भी नहीं थी.
We didn't even have so much detail of the Supreme Soul. We just knew about the soul.
अभी योग में एक सेकंड में आत्मा हूँ बस.
And now in the meditation, don't think anything except this one thing: I am a soul and I, the soul, am seeing the soul.
बीच बीच में कर्म करते हुए भी
And so
ये
intermittently,
अभ्यास जरूर करो।
whilst performing actions, let me have this practice again and again. I am the soul.
करावन हो हार हो के
I, the
कर्म
soul,
करा रहे।
the one who enables actions to happen, am enabling
हम
these
सुना रहे
actions
थे ना
to
तभी
happen.
हम लोगों ने अनुभव
And
किया
so
है
in
बस ऐसी हमारी
Karachi,
वृत्ति और
we
दृष्टि होगी
experienced all of this,
जिसको भी देखेंगे ना
and
आत्मा
our
आत्मा करें
attitude and our vision became
आत्मा
firm that whoever
आत्मा
we
से
see,
बात करे
we're seeing the soul. I, the soul, am seeing the soul. I, the soul, am
और
speaking to the
आत्मा
soul.
रूप देखने से
And
ऑटोमेटिकली
when we
वृत्ति
see the
बदलती
soul, then our attitude naturally changes.
कोई ने बाबा से क्वेश्चन किया था
Once someone had asked Baba a
बाबा ने
question.
कहा ना आत्मा आत्मा से बात करो
Baba had said the soul should
बाबा को
speak to the
बोला
soul. And
बाबा
so they said to Baba,
हम लोगों को बातचीत दफ्तर में बाहर
Baba, when
में
we have to speak to people
अज्ञानियों से भी बात
outside,
करनी
people
पड़ती
who
है ना
are not in this
तो
knowledge,
हम तो
then
आंखों में फेस में देख करके ही तो बात करेंगे ना
we're gonna look at them anyway,
आंखों
aren't
में
we?
देख करके तो बात
When we
नहीं
speak to
करेंगे
people, we don't look at their feet and talk to
फेस
them.
में
We look at
देखेंगे
their face anyway.
फेस में देखते हैं ना तो चले मानी आ
And as
जाती
soon as
है
we see someone's face, then our attitude becomes
बाबा ने
mischievous
उससे
or
पूछा
it shakes. And so Baba asked them,
पाँव में देख के क्यों बात करेंगे
well, naturally you won't look at someone's feet
आत्मा
when you talk
कहाँ
to
रहती
them,
है
but where does the soul live anyway?
पाँव में
It doesn't live in the
कहाँ
feet.
रहती है
Where does the soul
आत्मा यही
reside?
रहती
It
है
resides in the center of the forehead.
तो मानो आप आंखों में देख के
And
बात
so
करो,
when you speak to someone and you're making eye contact,
करते हैं तो फेस
when
की
we talk,
मेजॉरिटी तो
and
आंखों
mostly when you're looking at someone, we're speaking to someone, you're making eye contact and
तो
speaking.
आंखों और आत्मा के निवास स्थान में क्या अंतर
And
है?
so, what's the difference? You're looking at the eyes, the soul lives in that place, central
मैं
to the
आपको
forehead,
देख रही हूँ,
between the eyes.
अभी मैं आपके
And
आंखों में
so,
देख रही हूँ या आत्मा को देख रही हूँ,
whether I'm looking at
एक
the
आत्मा
eyes
को
or whether
मैं
I'm
देख
looking
रही
at the center of the forehead, is someone who I'm talking to, are they going to be able to tell the difference? No, not really.
हूँ। तो आप
And
फेस
so,
में देखो,
look at the face,
लेकिन फेस में भी कहाँ देखना है?
but where on the
आत्मा को
face?
देखो,
See
आत्मा
the
को
place
देख
where the
के बात
soul is,
करेंगे तो
and
और
then
भी अच्छी
speak,
करेंगे
and you'll
बात।
speak even better.
अगर आत्मा को देख के बात करेंगे तो चलेमानी तो नहीं आएंगी ना, वेस्ट थॉट
And
तो
if
नहीं
we
आएंगे।
see the soul and speak, then there won't be
तो
waste
हम
thoughts,
लोगों
there won't
ने
be
ये
fluctuation.
अभ्यास करके देखा है,
And so all of us have really
इतना
experienced
अच्छा
and practiced
लगेगा
this,
आपको,
and you'll really enjoy it, I'm
जैसे
telling you.
अपना ही मीठा स्वरूप
And it's
सब
like your
में
own
मीठा
sweet
मीठा
form
आत्मा
will emerge,
स्वरूप
and you'll see that sweetness in others
और
too.
उल्टा सुल्टा बोल निकलेगा ही नहीं।
And then
जब आत्मा
topsy
आत्मा
turvy
को
words
देखती
won't
है
emerge from your mouth,
तो
because
आपके
when the
मुख
soul is
से,
seeing the soul,
हाथ से ऐसा कोई
and
कर्म होगा ही नहीं।
the mouth, the hands, they won't perform any wrong actions.
बाबा ने अभी अटेंशन खिंचवाया,
And so Baba's
अगर
drawn our
साइलेंस
attention to
पावर
this,
आपको अपने
that
में
if you
बढ़ानी
wish to
है
increase the
तो
power of silence within
एक ये
yourself,
है,
then the
आत्मा
method for that
अपने
is
को समझो,
to
आत्मा
consider
दूसरे को
yourself
समझो।
to be a soul, and those who you interact with, consider them
इनको
to be a
मना कोई
soul.
देखने की जरूरत नहीं, बुद्धि से समझने की बात।
It's not a question of seeing it's with the eyes as such, but it's a question of
तो हमारी
understanding with the
साइलेंस
intellect.
पावर
And
बीच
so,
बीच
our
में,
power of
ऐसे
silence
नहीं
at
कोई कहता है
intervals,
हमको फुर्सत
we
नहीं
should
है,
be able to do
अरे
that.
पानी
You
की
can't
प्यास
say
लगेगी
that
आपको,
I don't have time, I don't even. Because if you want a glass of water, you'll make
तो
time to have
पानी
a
पीने
glass of
के लिए
water.
आपको मना नहीं कर
Nobody
सकता।
can stop you to have a glass of water,
चलो
even no matter how busy you
थोड़ा
are.
आधा घंटा लेट हो सकता है कोई काम में, लेकिन आपको पानी नहीं पियो ये मना कोई नहीं कर सकता।
No one's going to stop you from having a drink of
और दिन
water.
में 8 बारी तो पानी पीते ही हैं।
And we must drink water, what, 8 times a day?
चलो वही टाइम फिक्स कर दो,
And so fix your time for drinking water.
टाइम नहीं है कोई नहीं कह सकता।
Nobody can use this alibi, if you like, of not having time.
तो ये बीच बीच में भी सचमुच जो मैंने लक्ष्य रखा,
And so
मैं
this,
आत्मा आत्मा रूपक से ही
if I keep
सबको
this aim that I, the soul, am going to see the
होना
soul,
है या बदल गया, तो चेक करने
so
से
check
क्या है,
myself. Am I able to stick to that? And by checking, I'll be able to change.
कोई काम में फंस गए,
Otherwise, we just
2
become
घंटा
engrossed, lost in a task, and it's 2 hours or a few hours, and you don't know where the time's gone.
अभ्यास होगा जैसे
But if we have that practice,
का अभ्यास
for instance,
किया है
at
तो हो
Amrit
जाता है।
Vela, when we practice Amrit Vela, then it just becomes natural after a while. Traffic control,
सोचा है
it
तो कर
becomes,
लेते हैं।
because we've thought about it, we've set our mind on doing it,
ऐसे
we're
मैं
able to do it.
आत्मा हूँ,
And so, in the same way, I am a soul, this one is a soul.
भावना से देखना,
If I
उठना,
see and
सोना,
speak with these feelings and sentiments, then this practice
इसमें
becomes a great help.
ऑटोमेटिकली साइलेंस पावर आती
And this is what brings
है।
silence
आत्मा
power
का स्वधर्म
automatically,
ही
because the
शांति,
original religion
आत्मा का
of the
पिता ही
soul
शांति का
is
सागर,
peace.
आत्मा का घर ही
The
शांति
father
का,
of the soul
और
is
क्या
the
है?
ocean of peace. The home of the soul is the land of peace.
इसीलिए साइलेंस पावर जो बाबा आजकल कह रहे हैं,
And so, this silence power that Baba is talking to us about these days, we have to increase it.
अभ्यास जो बाबा ने कहा है,
And the practice that Baba's given us,
बीच बीच में शुरू कर,
these days we have to practice it at intervals in between our work.
अटेंशन तो देना पड़ेगा।
We will have to
बिना
give some
attention
attention.
के tension
Without
जाएगा।
attention, there'll be tension.
कई कहते हैं टेंशन है, हम कहते
Some
हैं
people say this, they have
tension
tension.
तो बुद्धि आ गई ना
And we
बाबा
say,
ने
when you
कहा,
have tension,
जब भी
then
आपके
Baba has
पास
said, whenever
tension
tension
आवे
comes
ना,
to you,
टेंशन के आगे ए शब्द ऐड कर दो,
just put an A in front of the tension.
तो क्या हो
And then
जाएगा?
what will it become?
अटेंशन।
Attention.
attention कहाँ जाएगा?
And where will your attention go? Towards Baba.
Attention खत्म.
Attention
जैसे ही
finished.
switch on होता है,
Just like the switch goes on and the switch goes off, and the darkness is removed just by the light. You don't have to throw the darkness out.
switch on,
You switch the light on and the darkness is eliminated. And so when there's a tension, then tension will finish.
तो ऐसा कोई न कोई बाबा विद्या जो बताता है,
And so Baba tells some or another method like this, and we should use these methods.
और विधि से सिद्धि बहुत जल्दी.
And then with the right method, then there is always success. If the method is used is correct, then there will be success. If I keep the aim, then I'll get the fruit of that aim. And so these are the things that Baba wants from us today. And the first thing we should think about really is how much love does Baba have for us? He wants us to become like kings, not ordinary subjects. Baba has given us the throne. Where's the throne? Where's king gonna sit anyway? On a throne. And which throne do we have? It's the throne of Bab Dada's heart. And you won't get that throne anywhere else, even in Satyug. You'll just get a fashionable throne, but not this type of throne. And what is that throne? What is any type of throne in comparison to the throne of God's heart? And so Baba has so much love. He says, I wish to make even the very last child into a king, a sovereign. Who's gonna love us that much? To sit and teach us so lovingly. And so when we say Baba, that experience of Baba's love is there. And when there's experience of Baba's love, I remember all the things that Baba has told me. Okay? So what are you going to do? Are you going to increase the power of silence? You're going to become a king, a sovereign? Or is it, oh, whatever we get, whatever we become, it's okay. There's not going to be any unhappiness in Satyug anyway. There's no problems there anyway. So even if I become a subject and I'm not a king, it's not a big deal. I'll be happy, won't I? But then people will say you became a child of God and this is all you managed to achieve. If you were the child of a king and you say it's all right, 2 chapatis is enough, what would you say in such an instance? We are the children of God, and God is giving us what? And we become content with just a little? It's like they say somebody goes to a gold mine and they come back with 2 fistfuls of gold. Then what are people going to say to them? What, you came back with just 2 fistfuls? It was a big mine of gold. You could have taken as much as you wanted and you came back with 2 fists. And so we are the children of God Himself. And so whatever God is giving us, let us at least take that. Of course we will be happy there. But we are the children of God, and so there should be that dignity that goes with that. And so whatever things Baba is drawing our attention to, we should pay attention and continue to move forward on that basis. And Baba says, all you need to do is have 1 step of courage, and 1,000 steps of help will come from me. Nobody could give you such a blessing or extend such an offer. And so Baba's blessings, Baba's great versions, whilst thinking about those, We just need to pay attention.
दूसरे के ऊपर
Attention to the self, not on others.
अटेंशन दिया गया.
If we have attention on others, then it's like we make ourselves fall. We just have to pay attention, keep an eye on ourselves.